Synchronicity is not merely coincidence. It is the universe speaking directly to your soul. These meaningful coincidences appear most frequently when you stand at the threshold of profound spiritual transformation. They are cosmic messengers, arriving precisely when your inner world is preparing for an evolutionary leap. When you begin noticing patterns, repeated numbers on clocks, songs that answer your unspoken questions, or encounters that seem impossibly timed, recognize these as reflections of your internal state of readiness. The external world mirrors what is already unfolding within you. As the great intuitive Edgar once observed, the spirit is the life, the mind is the builder, and the physical is the result. This fundamental truth reveals how our inner spiritual awakening manifests as tangible synchronistic events in our physical reality. The appearance of synchronicity signals that your vibration is shifting. Consider these moments as confirmation that you're aligning with your higher purpose. They often emerge during periods of contemplation, meditation, or when you've been asking deep questions about your path. The universe responds not to casual curiosity, but to soul-level inquiry. These meaningful coincidences typically increase during spiritual initiation phases. When you're about to enter a new level of consciousness, the veil between dimensions thins. Information flows more freely between your conscious mind and the universal intelligence that orchestrates all of existence. This is why synchronicities cluster around major life transitions. They are guideposts illuminating your journey. Remember that synchronicity operates beyond the limitations of linear time and three-dimensional space. These events reflect the holographic nature of reality, where each part contains information about the whole. When you experience profound synchronicity, you're glimpsing the interconnected web that binds all creation together. The timing of synchronistic events is particularly significant. They often appear when you're ready, but perhaps not yet aware that you're ready, for spiritual advancement. They serve as divine nudges, gentle reminders that evolution awaits. Pay special attention to synchronicities that evoke strong emotional responses. These carry messages specifically tailored to your soul's growth. This phenomenon becomes especially pronounced during periods of surrender, when you release rigid expectations and open yourself to divine guidance. Synchronicity flourishes. It's as if the universe has been waiting for you to loosen your grip on control before revealing the magical interconnectedness that has always surrounded you. Understand that synchronicity represents a convergence of your inner and outer worlds. Carl Jung, who coined the term, recognized these events as meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect. They point to a causal connecting principle, a force that links events through meaning rather than sequential causation. As you approach spiritual transformation, your energy field expands. This expansion allows you to perceive connections that were always present but previously invisible to your awareness. The synchronicities haven't necessarily increased. Your ability to recognize them has. This heightened perception is itself evidence of your spiritual evolution in progress. The universe communicates through symbols, archetypes, and patterns that resonate with your subconscious mind. When these symbols appear with uncanny timing or frequency, they're often highlighting aspects of yourself that are awakening. Each synchronistic event carries a personalized message, encoded in symbolism, unique to your spiritual language. The appearance of synchronicity doesn't merely suggest transformation. It confirms that transformation has already begun at the energetic level. Your consciousness is expanding beyond the limitations of ego identity and embracing the broader spiritual reality of which you are an integral part. When synchronicity intensifies in your life, understand that your soul is calling you toward higher consciousness. Spiritual traditions across cultures recognize these patterns as divine communication. The ancient wisdom keepers knew what modern quantum physics now confirms. Consciousness itself is fundamental to reality, and your focused awareness participates in creating your experience. Numerical synchronicities, seeing 1111, 333, or other repeated number sequences, are among the most common harbingers of spiritual transformation. These numerical patterns carry vibrational frequencies that resonate with specific aspects of your spiritual development. When you encounter them repeatedly, your soul is signaling readiness to embody higher frequencies of consciousness. The ancient Pythagoreans understood numbers as the building blocks of reality, not merely as quantities, but as qualities with spiritual significance. When these numbers appear in synchronistic patterns, they're activating corresponding energetic templates within your consciousness. Pay particular attention to meaningful encounters that defy probability, meeting precisely the person who carries information you need, or discovering a book that answers questions you've been contemplating. These coincidences reveal the orchestrating intelligence behind your spiritual journey. They demonstrate that you're being guided toward experiences that will catalyze your growth. Such encounters often occur when you've reached the limits of your current understanding and require fresh perspective to continue evolving. Dreams intensify during periods of synchronicity because the boundary between waking and dreaming states becomes more permeable as you prepare for spiritual transformation. Dreams may contain symbols that later manifest in your physical reality, creating a feedback loop between your subconscious mind and external events. This phenomenon indicates your energy system is processing transformation at multiple levels simultaneously. Dream symbols that recur in waking life serve as bridges between dimensions of consciousness, helping integrate spiritual insights across all aspects of your being. Your physical environment becomes increasingly responsive to your thoughts and emotions as you approach spiritual transformation. Objects may break or malfunction in ways that carry symbolic meaning. Electronic devices might behave erratically in your presence. These occurrences reflect the heightened electromagnetic field generated by your evolving consciousness interacting with the material world. What science calls the observer effect in quantum physics manifests in your daily life as synchronistic responses from your environment. Ancient mystical traditions understood synchronicity as evidence of divine presence. In Kabbalah, it's called Hashgacha Pratit, divine providence. In Hinduism, it relates to karma ripening. In indigenous wisdom, it's recognized as communication from ancestral spirits. Across traditions, these experiences are understood as sacred invitations to evolve. The Sufis speak of ilm al-yaqeen, knowledge of certainty, that arises when synchronicity confirms inner spiritual knowing through outer manifestation. The universe speaks through metaphor and symbol because spiritual truth transcends the limitations of linear language. When you notice recurring themes or symbols, certain animals appearing, specific colors predominating, or particular geometric patterns catching your attention, these are aspects of the universal language attempting to communicate with your expanding awareness. These symbols activate dormant knowledge within your soul's memory, awakening aspects of your multidimensional identity that have remained latent until now. Synchronistic events often appear at crossroads moments when multiple potential futures await your conscious choice. They serve as confirmation that you're approaching an important decision point on your spiritual path. The specific nature of these coincidences frequently contains clues about which direction aligns with your highest good. By carefully observing the quality and content of synchronicities, you gain insight into which potential timeline resonates most harmoniously with your soul's intended evolution. Your intuitive faculties sharpen dramatically during periods of pre-transformation synchronicity. You may experience sudden knowing, clear visions, or heightened empathic abilities. These enhanced perceptions are both the cause and effect of synchronistic experiences. They help you notice the meaningful connections while simultaneously developing as a result of recognizing those connections. This reciprocal relationship creates an accelerating spiral of spiritual unfoldment, each synchronistic recognition further refining your intuitive capacity. The emotional impact of synchronicity is significant. These events often trigger profound wonder, gratitude, or even tears of recognition. These emotional responses are not incidental, but integral to the transformative process. They represent your soul's recognition of divine orchestration and serve to deepen your trust in the spiritual journey unfolding before you. The heart-opening quality of genuine synchronicity distinguishes it from mere coincidence. True synchronicity resonates at the level of soul recognition. Synchronicity creates a feedback loop that accelerates spiritual growth. Each time you acknowledge these meaningful coincidences, you strengthen your connection to universal intelligence. This reinforcement increases the frequency and clarity of future synchronistic communications, creating an upward spiral of spiritual awareness. Ancient spiritual disciplines recognize this principle. teaching practitioners to cultivate grateful attention towards synchronistic events as a method of deepening communion with divine intelligence. The appearance of synchronicity signals that you're developing greater coherence between your conscious intentions and subconscious patterns. This alignment is essential for spiritual transformation, as it allows your entire being to move harmoniously toward evolution, rather than remaining fragmented between conscious desires and subconscious resistance. When inner and outer realities align through synchronicity, energy previously expended in internal conflict becomes available for spiritual advancement. When synchronicity accelerates in your life, spiritual traditions advise entering a state of heightened receptivity rather than analytical questioning. The rational mind cannot fully grasp the multidimensional nature of synchronistic communication. Instead, adopt the stance of the mystic, open, observant, and willing to receive wisdom through channels that transcend intellectual understanding. This receptive awareness allows the deeper meanings of synchronicity to unfold naturally within your consciousness. Synchronistic events are not random occurrences, but purposeful portals aligning you with your highest evolutionary trajectory. When these meaningful coincidences multiply in your experience, you stand at the threshold of significant spiritual transformation. These moments are sacred invitations, cosmic doorways opening to new dimensions of consciousness that await your willing participation. The emergence of synchronicity indicates that higher aspects of yourself are orchestrating circumstances to facilitate your spiritual evolution. These aspects, whether understood as your higher self, guardian angels, spirit guides, or aspects of divine consciousness, operate beyond the limitations of space-time, arranging confluences of energy that appear in your life as meaningful coincidences. Their purpose is not to entertain, but to illuminate the path of your soul's journey toward greater wholeness. Synchronicity often appears most prominently when you're approaching a quantum leap in consciousness. Just as physical systems undergo phase transitions when reaching certain thresholds, human consciousness experiences evolutionary leaps that fundamentally reorganize perception and understanding. Synchronistic events serve as energetic catalysts for these transitions, providing the precise vibrational triggers needed to initiate transformation at the level of soul. When navigating periods of intense synchronicity, ancient wisdom traditions recommend specific practices to honor and amplify this sacred process. Maintain a synchronicity journal to document patterns and insights. Create quiet space for meditation and contemplation, allowing the deeper meanings of these experiences to reveal themselves. Express gratitude for each meaningful coincidence, recognizing it as evidence of divine support for your journey. These practices create receptive conditions for the transformative energies carried by synchronistic events. Synchronicity often guides you toward new relationships that will play pivotal roles in your spiritual unfoldment. People who appear synchronistically in your life, sometimes briefly, sometimes permanently, carry frequencies that resonate with aspects of your emerging consciousness. These soul connections may manifest as teachers, students, mirrors, catalysts, or companions on the path. The synchronistic nature of their appearance indicates a soul-level arrangement designed to serve mutual evolution. The timing of synchronistic events reveals much about their purpose in your spiritual development. They often cluster around periods of inner questioning, life transitions, or spiritual practice intensification. This timing is not coincidental, but precisely calibrated to your readiness to receive and integrate new levels of truth. When synchronicity accelerates, understand that cosmic timing has aligned with your soul's timing, a convergence that creates optimal conditions for transformation. Synchronicity frequently directs attention toward unhealed aspects of self that require integration before spiritual advancement can occur. Shadow elements, disowned parts of yourself that operate unconsciously, often reveal themselves through external synchronistic reflections. Pay special attention to triggering or emotionally charged synchronicities, as these frequently highlight aspects of self-calling for healing and integration. Complete transformation requires embracing the totality of your being, including elements previously rejected or denied. Ancient mystery traditions understood that synchronicity increases during spiritual initiation phases. In Egyptian, Greek, and Eastern esoteric schools, Initiates were taught to recognize meaningful patterns as communications from higher dimensions. These traditions viewed reality as multi-layered, with synchronicity serving as bridges between planes of existence. When synchronicity intensifies in your experience, you are essentially undergoing a modern form of spiritual initiation, guided not by an external temple hierarchy, but by the intelligence of consciousness itself. The appearance of synchronicity often coincides with activation of the subtle energy system. What Eastern traditions call chakras, meridians, and nadis undergo refinement and expansion during spiritual transformation. This energetic development enables perception of and participation in more subtle dimensions of reality, where synchronistic connections originate. Physical sensations, vibrations, heat, pressure, or tingling, particularly along the spine or at energy centers, frequently accompany periods of heightened synchronicity, signaling energetic preparation for consciousness expansion. Synchronicity serves as confirmation that you're aligning with your soul's authentic path. When you make choices resonant with your highest purpose, the universe responds with synchronistic affirmation. This feedback mechanism helps navigate the sometimes challenging terrain of spiritual transformation, providing confirmation when you're moving in alignment with your soul's intentions. The specific nature of synchronistic events often contains symbolic guidance about your next steps. The transformative potential of synchronicity depends largely on your response to it. Approach these experiences with reverence, curiosity, and willingness to be changed by what they reveal. Rather than merely cataloging interesting coincidences, ask, how is this experience inviting me to evolve? What aspect of my consciousness is being illuminated? What action or understanding does this synchronicity suggest? This engaged relationship with synchronistic events activates their transformative capacity. As synchronicity accelerates, you may experience dissolution of previous identity structures. Long-held beliefs about yourself and reality may no longer feel coherent or relevant. This dissolution, while sometimes disorienting, creates necessary space for emergence of more expansive identity, aligned with your authentic spiritual nature. Synchronistic events often provide glimpses of this emerging self, offering preview experiences of the consciousness you are becoming. The relationship between synchronicity and surrender is profound. These meaningful coincidences flourish in the space created by releasing attachment to specific outcomes and timeframes. The prayer of surrender, not my will but thine be done, creates receptive conditions for synchronistic guidance. This surrender is not passive resignation, but active alignment with the greater intelligence orchestrating your spiritual evolution. When you release the need to control every aspect of your journey, synchronicity naturally increases, revealing the support that has always been available. Synchronicity ultimately invites participation in a more conscious relationship with the creative forces of the universe. As you recognize and respond to these meaningful patterns, you become an active co-creator rather than a passive recipient of experience. This shift represents one of the most significant aspects of spiritual transformation, the movement from unconscious to conscious participation in the unfolding of your destiny. Each synchronistic event, acknowledged and integrated, brings you closer to this empowered state of co-creative partnership, with the divine intelligence permeating all existence. If these insights about synchronicity resonated with your soul, this is no coincidence. You were meant to receive this message today. Your spiritual transformation is already underway. Subscribe now to continue receiving cosmic wisdom that aligns with your awakening journey. Share your own synchronicity experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another seeker needs to hear. Remember, when we recognize and honor these divine patterns together, we accelerate collective consciousness evolution. Hit subscribe, activate notifications, and join our spiritual community as we navigate these transformative times together. The universe is speaking to you. Are you listening?